Hi everyone, today we will be talking about buttons in Xcode. A button, as defined in the Apple developer documentation, is a control that executes your custom code in response to user interactions. In other words, it is something that allows for the user to interact with your app. Now that we know what a button is, let's go and make one in Xcode. First, we will create a new project. Click on New Project and select Single View Application. Then click Next. We will name our app Button Tutorial. So now we will click Next. We will click Create. Now that we have our project, let's go to the storyboard. Click on Library. Then search for button. Then, once you found it, click and drag to our view controller. If you select the button and go to the Attributes Inspector, you'll be able to see everything you can do to change the button's appearance. But before that, let's connect our button to our code. Click on the Assistant Editor, which is the two circles. This will open our view controller's code. Now right-click and drag the button above the view.load in the code. This opens a little bubble which allows us to choose multiple things regarding the connection between the button and the code. For now, we will just name our button our first button. Now repeat this step but drag under the view.load method. This will create an action which we will name button clicked action. Click connect. What we have done so far is place a button on our screen using the storyboard. Then we made the first connection, an IB outlet, which allows us to access the button's properties like text, color, image, and change them as we please. Our second connection, the IB action, is a function that is ran when our button is clicked by the user. Now that we know how to add a button through the storyboard, let's do so through the code. Go inside the view.load method and write let button wcode equals UIButton open parentheses frame, and then select the first one, cgrect open parentheses, scroll down to xint, and then for the x put 250, for the y 250, for the width 200, and for the height 50. The frame defines the location and size of our button. Now write button wcode.background color equals color literal. Double click the little white square and pick whatever color you'd like. Now we will set the text for our button. Write button wcode.setTitle, and then for the title write button coded. For the UI control state write .normal. Now that we have created our button, let's display it on our screen with the line self.view.addSubview button wcode. As expected, our green button shows up, but for now it doesn't do anything as we haven't created an action. Let's now create an action for a button. Write button wcode.addTarget, then choose the first autocomplete, and then for target put self, for action put hashtag selector open parentheses button wcode action. For the control event, choose touch up inside. What this does is that when the button is clicked, it will call the function button wcode action. Let's now create the button wcode action function. Type at object function button wcode action open parentheses sender UI button exclamation mark close parentheses open curly brackets, and then click enter. Now that you know how to add a button to a project, you probably want to customize it to fit your app. There are many things you can change in a button, including text, text color, text style, font, text size, image, background, radius, transparency, shadow, and type. To change text color, you click the button and go to the Attribute Inspector, where you pick Text Color and click on the drop-down and choose a color there. You can also click Custom to make a color of your own. To change the text color programmatically, you write button.setTitleColor. For the color, you can either use a color literal and then double-click the white square, which will be like using the Attribute Inspector. Or you can use UI color and make your own color manually with RGB values. To change the font size, and style, you can go to the Attribute Inspector and select the font. There a bubble will appear where you can change the font, family, style, and size. To change those attributes programmatically, you can type button.titleLabel.font equals UI font, and then pick a font you like and a size you like. To change the text of a button, you can double-click it and change the text there. Or, you can go to the Attributes Inspector and go to the Title section and change it there. To change it programmatically, you can use button.setTitle and then pick a title, and then for the control state, put .normal. If you import an image to the assets, you can change the image of the button. To do so, click the button and go to the Attribute Inspector, then go to Image and pick your image. To do so programmatically, you use button.setImage and then Image Literal, where you can double-click the blue square and then pick your image. To change the background image with the Attributes Inspector, you do the same thing as an image, except go to the Background Image section. To change the background image with code is similar to changing the image, because you use button.setBackgroundImage and then use Image Literal to pick your image. To change the background color of a button, you click the button, then go to the Attributes Inspector. There you scroll down to the Background Color section, and then pick a color. To change the background color programmatically, you use button.backgroundColor equals, and then you can use color literal or UI color. To change the corner radius, you have to do so programmatically. You write button.layer.cornerRadius and then pick a radius. To change the transparency of a button, or alpha, you go to the Attribute Inspector and then down to the Alpha section. There you can input a value between 0 and 1, 0 being hidden and 1 being completely visible. To change the alpha programmatically, you use button.alpha and then pick a value between 0 and 1. To add a shadow to your button, you write button.layer.shadowColor equals and then pick a color literal or UI color. Then, on the next line you write button.layer.shadowOffset equal and then a CG size with a width of whatever you want and a height of whatever you want. Then, you write button.layer.shadowOpacity, and this is pretty much the alpha, so pick a value between 0 and 1. Then you write button.layer.shadowRadius and pick a radius. To change a button's type, you click the button, then go to the Attributes Inspector and click on Type at the very top. Then you can have Info Light and Add Contact buttons. To do this programmatically, you have to determine the type when you create your button, because you can't change it later on. To make your button an Add Contact button, you can do letButton equals UIButton open parentheses type dot contact add close parentheses. Then simply add your button to the view and it will be there as an add contact button. Now that you're a button pro, here's a little demo showcasing a button. Alright guys, that's all I have for today. Hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, it'd be nice if you could leave a like. I wish you luck on your programming journey.